5 home runs, 20 combined runs, and a wild 12-8 finish between the Diamondbacks and Guardians headline a jam-packed slate across baseball on August 1st. Kevin Gausman kept the Cardinals lineup off balance all afternoon as the Blue Jays cruised to a 5-1 win at home. Gausman worked 5.2 innings, allowing just 1 earned run while striking out 4 to pick up the win. Toronto's offense spread the damage across the lineup rather than relying on one big blow. Luis Urias, Ernie Clement, Dalton Varsho, George Springer, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Miles Straw, and Alejandro Kirk all reached base with hits, chipping in enough run support to make Gausman's outing stand up easily. Louis had traffic on the bases too, with Jordan Walker, Nathan Church, Lars Nootbaar, Blaze Jordan, Alec Burleson, Masson Wynn, Ivan Herrera, and Jimmy Crooks all collecting hits, but the Cardinals could never turn that contact into more than a single run, getting shut down in the big spots. It was a workmanlike win for Toronto in front of over 41,000 fans at Rogers Center, the kind of complete team effort, strong starting pitching plus contributions up and down the order that keeps the club steady, even without any home runs or extra base fireworks to headline the box score. Mariners held off the Twins 4-3 in a game defined by the long ball. Randy Arozarena went deep for Seattle, while Minnesota answered with solo shots from Trevor Larnach and Luke Keeschall, but it wasn't enough to overcome the deficit. Seattle's bullpen closed it out as Andrés Munoz picked up the win, tossing 1.1 scoreless innings with 2 strikeouts to bridge the game to the finish. Josh Naylor added a stolen base and a hit for the Mariners, who also got knocks from Cole Young, Colt Emerson, and Julio Rodriguez. For Minnesota, Brooks Lee, Ryan Jeffers, Ryan Kreidler, and Royce Lewis all had hits to keep the Twins within striking distance, but the 2 solo homers from Larnach and Keeschall were the extent of the offense they could generate against Seattle's pitching staff. With a crowd of over 41,000 at T-Mobile Park, this one came down to which team's power surge held up better late, and it was Seattle's mix of Arizona's blast and Munoz's shutdown relief that tipped the final score in the Mariners' favor. Drew Rasmussen was nearly untouchable in a tight 1-0 Rays win over the White Sox, striking out 10 batters over 6 shutout innings to earn the victory. Brian Baker slammed the door with a scoreless 9th for the save, and Rasmussen's dominance meant Tampa Bay only needed to scratch across a single run to win it. Johnny DeLuca provided some added flair with a stolen base, and he was one of several Rays with a hit alongside Chandler Simpson, Nick Fortes, and Yandy Diaz. Chicago's lineup had traffic of its own. Randall Grichuk, Munetaka Murakami, Braden Montgomery, and Edgar Quero all reached with hits, but the White Sox simply couldn't solve Rasmussen when it counted, and their night ended without a single run crossing the plate. This was pure pitcher's duel theater in front of a modest crowd at Tropicana Field, a reminder that a dominant strikeout arm and a lockdown closer can be enough to win even when the offense barely shows up. The Marlins rolled into CD Field and left with a 6-2 win over the Mets, powered by home runs from Griffin Canine and Javier Sonoja. Tyler Phillips picked up the win after 5 innings of 2-run ball, and Lake Bachra locked things down with a hefty 3-inning save. Miami also ran wild on the bases, with both Heriberto Hernandez and Esteury Ruiz swiping bags, while Kyle Stowers, Liam Hicks, and Otto Lopez chipped in with hits to keep the pressure on New York's pitching all afternoon. The Mets got a solo home run from Tyrone Taylor and Bo Bichette. Carson Bench, Marcus Semien, and Francisco Lindor all had hits, but it wasn't nearly enough to match Miami's balanced attack. New York never found enough consistent offense to erase the deficit, and the loss dropped them further behind on a day where the Marlins' complete performance, power, speed, and length from the bullpen was simply the more impressive product on the field in front of over 30,000 fans. The Pirates topped the Reds 4-1 in a game briefly interrupted by rain delay, getting a strong start from Braxton Ashcraft, who worked 5 innings and allowed just 1 earned run with 5 strikeouts to earn the win. Gregory Soto closed it out with a scoreless save. Cincinnati's lone run came via a Jose Trevino solo home run, and Trevino added a second hit on the night, with Nathaniel Lowe and Eugenio Suarez also reaching base with hits. Matt McLain stole a base for the Reds, but the offense otherwise went quiet against Pittsburgh's pitching. The Pirates got hits from Brandon Lowe, Brian Reynolds, Jake Mangum, Henry Davis, and Marcell Ozuna, spreading out the offense needed to back Ashcraft, while Nick Gonzalez added a stolen base of his own. After a 1:46 delay pushed the total game time past 2.5 hours, Pittsburgh's pitching depth proved decisive, holding the Reds to a single run despite a near-capacity crowd of over 27,000 hoping to see a Cincinnati rally that never fully materialized. Christopher Sanchez was dominant in a 5-0 Phillies shutout of the Orioles, striking out 11 batters over 6 scoreless innings to pick up the win. Philadelphia also ran aggressively on the bases, with Brandon Marsh, Alec Boehm, and Bryson Stott all swiping bags to go with Dylan Beaver's lone stolen base for Baltimore. The Phillies backed Sanchez with hits from Marsh, Justin Crawford, Brian De La Cruz, Bryce Harper, Boehm, Stott, and Trea Turner, spreading the offense across the lineup rather than relying on the long ball. No home runs were hit in this one. Baltimore managed a few hits of its own, with Gunnar Henderson, Dylan Beavers, and Tyler O'Neill reaching base, but the Orioles were shut out completely, unable to push a single run across against Sanchez and the Philadelphia bullpen. In front of over 37,000 fans, this game was defined almost entirely by one pitcher's dominance, an 11-strikeout shutout effort that left Baltimore with zero answers. The Astros edged the Rangers 5-4 in a game that came down to the bullpen, with Steven Okert picking up the win after 1.1 scoreless innings and Josh Hader closing it out with a save. Texas got the power in this one, with Wyatt Langford and Elias Diaz both going deep, and Brandon Nimmo adding a stolen base, but Houston's lineup found enough offense to answer both blasts and hang on. Isaac Paredes, Cam Smith, Taylor Trammell, Jeremy Pena, Lamonte Wade Jr., Christian Walker, and Yordan Alvarez all had hits for the Astros, spreading the load across the order to build the cushion Hader needed to protect. Corey Seager, Jock Pederson, and Alejandro Osuna also collected hits for Texas, keeping the Rangers within a run until the final out. With over 38,000 fans watching, this one stayed tight from start to finish, and it was Houston's bullpen, Okert bridging to Hader, that ultimately made the difference in a game that could have gone either way. In the wildest game of the day, the Diamondbacks outlasted the Guardians 12-8 in a slugfest that saw 5 home runs leave the yard. Cleveland got solo shots from Chase DeLauter and Rhys Hoskins, but Arizona answered with homers from Nolan Arenado, Geraldo Perdomo, and Corbin Carroll. Perdomo was the headliner, going 4 for 6 with 3 RBI, a stat line that also lands him among today's top fantasy performances, while teammate James McCann chipped in 3 for 4 with 2 RBI of his own. Cleveland's Steven Kwan matched that energy for the losing side, going 3 for 5 with 2 RBI in a game that just wasn't enough. Gerardo Carrillo picked up the win in relief for Arizona. Cleveland also got hits from Travis Bazzana, Petey Halpin, Angel Martinez, and Kyle Manzardo, but the Guardians' bullpen couldn't contain an Arizona lineup that kept adding on. This one ran 3 hours and 39 minutes, and with 20 combined runs, 5 home runs, and multiple multi-hit, fantasy-relevant performances from both sides, it stands as the day's most statistically loaded and dramatic game. The Braves overpowered the Nationals 8-3 behind 3 home runs, with Matt Olson, Dominic Smith, and Ronald Acuna Jr. all going deep to power the Atlanta offense. Martin Perez was excellent on the mound, working 7 innings and allowing 0 earned runs while striking out 6 to pick up the win. Ozzie Albies added a stolen base to the mix, and Atlanta got hits up and down the lineup from Drake Baldwin, Jim Jarvis, Olson, Smith, Acuna, Albies, Austin Riley, and Mike Yastrzemski. Washington got production from Brady House, C.J. Abrams, Dylan Cruz, and Luis Garcia Jr., but the Nationals' pitching couldn't contain the trio of home runs, and their offense never generated enough to keep pace. In front of over 38,000 fans at Truist Park, this was a complete team win for Atlanta, a stellar, nearly complete game effort from Perez paired with power from 3 different hitters that put the game out of reach well before the final out. Cubs beat the Yankees 5-2 behind a strong start from David Peterson, who struck out 8 over 6.1 innings, with Caleb Thielbar closing it out for the save. Nico Horner went deep for Chicago, and Trent Thornton picked up the win despite throwing just 2/3 of an inning, benefiting from Chicago's bullpen sequencing. New York got a solo homer from Spencer Jones and a strong 3 for 4 night from Ali Sanchez, while Jose Caballero swiped 2 bags, a 2-steal game that stands out as one of the day's best fantasy performances across baseball. Alex Bregman, Carson Kelly, Michael Busch, Pete Crow Armstrong, and Seiya Suzuki all had hits for the Cubs to back Peterson's strong outing, while Aim Rosario and Jason Dominguez also reached base for the Yankees. In front of over 39,000 at Wrigley Field, Chicago's pitching depth and Hoerner's power were enough to hold off New York, even with Caballero putting together a high-lateral running performance in a losing effort. The Rockies exploded for 12 runs in a slugfest win over the Royals, with Hunter Goodman crushing 2 home runs and driving in 5 runs on a 4-for-5 night. A huge fantasy performance on a day full of them. Willie Castro also went deep for Colorado, and TJ Rumfield added 3 for 5 with 3 RBI of his own. Ryan Feltner got the win despite allowing 4 earned runs over 6 innings, leaning on the offensive outburst around him. Kansas City fought back with home runs from Salvador Perez, John Ray and Jack Caglianon, and Tyler Talbot added a stolen base, but the Royals simply couldn't keep pace with the Rockies lineup that got hits from Mickey Moniak, Jake McCarthy, Castro, Tyler Freeman, Goodman, Brenton Doyle, Rumfield, and Kyle Caros. In front of over 40,000 fans at Coors Field, this turned into exactly the kind of high-altitude offensive show the ballpark is known for, and Goodman's 2-homer, 5 RBI night was the headline of an 8-home-run combined afternoon. The Padres held off the Giants 6-5 in a back-and-forth game, getting a home run from Freddie Fermin and a 3-for-4 night from Ty France. Mason Miller picked up the win in relief, tossing 1.2 scoreless innings to keep San Diego ahead. San Francisco's Tyler Mahle was electric on the mound despite the loss, striking out 9 over 5.2 innings, and Osley Vispace answered Furman's blast with a home run of his own. Jackson Merrill, Xander Bogaerts, and Jake Cronenworth all had hits for San Diego, while Heliot Ramos, Yoon-Hoo Lee, Drew Gilbert, Rafael Devers, Bryce Eldridge, and Daniel Suzak kept the Giants within reach with hits of their own. In front of over 43,000 fans at Petco Park, this one stayed tense into the late innings, and it was Miller's shutdown relief work protecting the 1-run margin that ultimately sealed it for San Diego despite Mahle's dominant strikeout total on the losing side. The Red Sox stunned the Dodgers 3-2 at Dodger Stadium, powered by a 2-homer night from Seth and Rafaela, one of the best fantasy lines of the day. Justin Slayton picked up the win, and Aroldis Chapman slammed the door with a save to preserve the road win. Los Angeles got a solo home run from Teoscar Hernandez, who also went 3-for-4 with 2 RBI, and Freddie Freeman added a 3-for-4 night of his own, but it wasn't enough to overcome Rafaela's power. Shohei Ohtani, Andy Pages, and Miguel Rojas also had hits for the Dodgers, while Andrew Monasterio and Jarren Duran chipped in for Boston. In front of the Dodgers, Brewers took down the Angels 3-1, getting a home run from Jake Bauers and a dominant relief win from Chad Patrick, who struck out 5 over 2 scoreless innings. Trevor Megill closed out with a save, and Garrett Mitchell added a stolen base for Milwaukee. The Angels' offense was limited to hits from Jose Siri, Jorge Soler, Mike Trout, and Denzer Guzman, never finding the extra base damage needed to match Bauer's blast. Cooper Pratt, Jackson Chourio, William Contreras, and Bryce Terang also had hits for the Brewers, giving Milwaukee enough cushion to work with behind a bullpen that shut the door completely once Patrick took over. In front of just over 31,000 fans at Angel Stadium, this was a clean, efficient win for Milwaukee. 1 home run and a lockdown bullpen performance were all it took to send the Angels to a quiet loss on their home turf. The Tigers outlasted the Athletics 8-6 in a home run-heavy affair, getting long balls from Kevin McGonigal, Gleyber Torres, and Max Clark. Framber Valdez was excellent for Detroit, working 7 innings with 2 earned runs and 6 strikeouts to earn the win, and Kenley Jansen closed it out with a save. McGonigal backed his home run with a 3-for-4, 2 RBI night. Oakland's Henry Bold matched that energy with a home run of his own and a 3-for-4, 3 RBI performance, and Tommy White added a 3-for-4 night, while Jack Perkins struck out 9 over 5.1 innings in a strong but losing effort. Lawrence Butler, Donovan Walton, Jeff McNeil, Alika Williams, Tyler Soderstrom, Jonathan Ornelas, and Jacob Wilson all had hits for the Athletics, but Detroit's power ultimately proved decisive. In front of a sparse crowd of just 10,426, this one turned into a genuine slugfest, with 3 Tigers home runs and multi-hit, multi-RBI nights from both Bolt and McGonigal, keeping the score moving in both directions until Detroit's bullpen sealed the win. It was a quiet day on the streak front around the league, with no notable ongoing hit streaks or team win/loss streaks flagged from today's action. Check back tomorrow as new streaks build across the slate. Fantasy managers had plenty to monitor today. Hunter Goodman put together a monster 4 for 5, 2-homer, 5 RBI night for the Rockies, while Seth and Rafaela matched him with a 2-homer game of his own for Boston. Jose Caballero offered a different kind of value with 2 stolen bases for the Yankees, a nice source of speed for anyone streaming. Over in the Arizona-Cleveland slugfest, both Steven Kwan 3 for 5, 2 RBI, and Geraldo Perdomo 4 for 6, 3 RBI delivered exactly the kind of multi-hit production streaming and season-long managers want to see. That's a wrap on August 1st around the majors. Hit subscribe so you never miss a recap.